And this coincides with finds which show an increase in population. We can't draw any conclusions, but there is an increase in small tribes, and violence becomes very important.
Conquest by the Mongoloids would explain why there are no Aborigines in the Americas today. They were wiped out. But persecuted peoples often avoid extinction, either through intermarriage with the invader or by escaping into the wilderness. Could some American Aborigines have survived in a remote corner of the New World? At the southernmost end of the continent lies Tierra del Fuego, a group of islands isolated from the mainland by the Strait of Magellan. The oldest skull found in this part of the world is 9,000 years old. It too was measured by Walter Nevis.
This skull also shows a strong similarity with Australians and no similarity at all with nowadays Indians or Mongoloids. Okay, so even in the extreme southern cone of the Americas, okay, was inhabited by these people that has nothing to do with Mongoloids.
It seems that some tribes of American Aborigines may have escaped, finding sanctuary here at the far end of South America. So what became of them? Where are their descendants? When the first Europeans explored Tierra del Fuego, they encountered bands of hunters and gatherers, the Fuegians. An Italian ethnographer recorded their way of life in the 1930s. It seemed to hark back to a primordial era. Sisters Cristina and Ursula Calderon are children of those hunters and gatherers. They were born just over 70 years ago in this small village, now abandoned. Could these sisters be actual descendants of Luthia and the American Aborigines? On the face of it, no. Their appearance is not very different from that of other Native Americans. But a more reliable marker of ancestry lies behind the face, the shape of the skull. The local museum houses several skulls of modern Fuegians, recent ancestors of Cristina and Ursula. For the first time, scientists have begun to measure these skulls. As expected, they have found some classic Mongoloid traits, such as flat faces. But they also found unusual features, pronounced ridges over the eyes, a distinctly non-Mongoloid characteristic. Apparently, Fuegians were somehow related to the ancestors of the Australian Aborigines.
We think that Fuegians is the nowadays Fuegians or the historic Fuegians are the result of interbreeding between the non-Mongoloids and the Mongoloids.
It seems that some American Aborigines may have avoided extinction by intermarrying with the Mongoloids 7,000 to 9,000 years ago, and then retreating to Tierra del Fuego, where they lived in isolation until the 20th century. But the Aborigines were originally a race adapted to life in the tropics. How could they have survived in this cold and damp corner of South America? Argentine archaeologists have pitched their tents on the shores of lakes and inlets in search of clues. On this beach, they found mounds of mussel shells.
Una secuencia de valvas que si la miras se está clavando dentro o por debajo.
The oldest layer is 6,000 to 7,000 years old. Is this ancient garbage left behind by American Aborigines? Mounds of shells have been found all over the beach. The mounds are overgrown with grass, but they have a distinctive shape. Each one is built up around a hollow. According to Ernesto Piana, the excavation leader, they're evidence that this sheltered beach was the site of a very ancient settlement.
This kind of round structures, you may see many in this archaeological site in Miwaya, are actually the base of their huts. This was done because people just put some poles around, making a dome, or some like a cone, and live in, throwing the debris, the refuse, outside of these round things.
Alongside the very same beaches, similar huts were being built by the Fuegians until just 60 years ago. These huts sheltered the American Aborigines through thousands of winters of wind, rain, and snow. Some tribes wore hides of guanaco, a type of llama, to keep the cold out. But others wandered around virtually naked. How did they cope with the cold? Tierra del Fuego was surrounded by colonies of seals. Seal oil rubbed on the skin offered protection against the cold and damp. It was also especially high in calories. A spoonful a day provided extra resistance to the cold.
We were given spoonfuls of seal oil. That's how I grew up healthy. And I guess that's why I'm still here today. They said it was very good for the kids, but only in winter, not in summer. Because in summer your face comes out in a rash of spots.
The Fuegians also kept fires lit indefinitely, even when they were on the move.
They lit their fires in the canoe. And I'd ask, how come the boat doesn't burn? No, the fires were lit on a layer of damp grass. So long as the fire is small, the canoe doesn't catch fire.
Isolated from the rest of the continent, the descendants of the American Aborigines preserved their way of life for thousands of years. But there's something else. they appear to have also kept alive their rituals. The 1930s expeditions recorded secret initiation ceremonies. Before boys could be led into the secrets of the tribe, they had to face up to spooks and spirits. According to the ethnographic reports, boys and women believed the ghosts were real. Could such rituals help decipher the enigmatic scenes on the Brazilian rock shelters? The dancing spooks, with their masks and stripes, are strangely familiar. Tribal wisdom taught to the Fuegian initiates was secret. It was only revealed to men. Women were kept in the dark. Any speculation about it was, and still is, strictly taboo.
They said it was a very secret ritual. That's why we never talked about it. Only the men were supposed to know about it.
What was so secret that it had to be kept from the women? Some of the chiefs, according to ethnographers, explain that there was a time in a very distant past when women ruled society. So the women must never know, lest the men lose their grip on power. Perhaps this story was brought into the New World by the American Aborigines, because similar legends have been recorded amongst Aborigine tribes in Australia. Amazingly, traditions of the first peoples of Australia appear to have been preserved here at the utmost end of the earth by a small band of their descendants. But after surviving 50,000 years, the memory of those traditions is now at risk of being lost forever. The arrival of white settlers in the late 19th century pushed the native people of Tierra del Fuego to the brink of extinction. The guanaco was one of the main sources of food. But when European settlers arrived, they saw a land ideally suited for something else. Gradually, the guanaco hunting grounds were transformed into vast sheep stations. It seems that the Fuegians thought they could simply switch to hunting sheep. It was a tragic mistake. European landlords thought nothing of killing poachers in cold blood. Christian missionaries tried their best to help the natives adapt to the changing circumstances.